Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags and Metal Reviews, and today we're getting our first impressions of the brand new Napalm Death album titled Throes of Joy in the Jaws of Defeatism. Alright, Napalm Death, iconic band, new album. We did a poll, these guys won cleanly, so this is what we're doing. We reacted to their first single that they dropped a video to. I can't remember the name of it, but it was an extremely groovy song, very light for Napalm Death, you know, kind of sound that they're known for.
It's not what we were expecting.
No, but with that said, neither of us are huge Napalm Death fans. I've dabbled in them here and there over the years, but never got into them. This is gonna be my first time really diving into an album, even though I own 2 or 3 of their albums. I've never really dived into them. So I hope, as I do with every album we listen to, I hope I really like this, because I don't want to have to trash talk Napalm Death at the end of this first impressions video. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, you know, I don't really know too much about the band's sound. Like, I haven't really jumped into them as much, you know, same with you. And, you know, no one wants to dislike an album. I want to like it too, you know, like, I want to enjoy it.
I'm looking forward to it. We're going to listen to it right now for the first time in its entirety, and we'll be back to give you guys our first impressions. Okay guys, we're back, obviously, because we're here back talking to you. We just listened to the album. TV Fish didn't like it.
Well,
I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it, to be honest.
the album just, okay, here's my main issue with this album. It was just too repetitive for me. Now, you know, it starts out with Fuck the Factoid, and it, you know, sounds pretty neat. Whatever fast blast beats and D beats, like extreme metal kind of stuff.
Goodness.
It's cool, and you get Backlash Just Because, which is kind of similar, has a cool breakdown in it. Alright, cool. You know, then that Curse of Being in Thrall. It's a bit different. I like that, you know, it gets groovier in the bridge. You know, has multiple different riffs that are good, cool. And then Contagion, also good, cool groove. The bridge was alright. Then you get to track 5, Joie de ne pas vivre. French, I don't know, something is not something. I don't know, I'll find out what it means later. But that is kind of where things started to change for me. Now, this song barely had guitars in it.
Change for the better or change for the worse?
I guess for the worse? Because here's the thing, it's unique. The song is totally unique.
This song has virtually no guitars in it.
The only guitars I noticed are like just background noodling. And it was really quiet. If that. You heard the bass, and the bass sounded cool, but it was just like, that was just kind of like it.
I felt like this song sounded very raw, not in the way of, or like, not like a bad recording kind of way, but just in like just a fucking visceral kind of way. Super bassy, the bass carries the intro, the bass carries the whole tune, because there's no guitar, or very little, if anything, subtle guitar. But the chunkiness of that song really appealed to me.
Now,
and the bass is to blame for that.
The thing is, from there forward, the album just felt super repetitive. Like, you know, I could pick out a song like, I don't know, the title track. It felt like the same things that they were doing in the first like 4 tracks.
Just alternating between blast beats and D beats.
That's just what it felt like for me. Now here's the thing, it's like, if you pick a lot of these songs out individually, they're good songs. If I were to listen to that title track on its own, I'd enjoy it. But the fact that I heard so much of what was in that song already, it hurts that song, because it's like, I've heard this already, you know?
Yeah.
That being said,
yeah, go ahead.
There are a few songs though that did stand out among all the blast beats and D beat songs. One of them was Amoral, track number 9. I believe this is the one that we reacted to.
It is.
This one is a lot groovier. It has a total unique sound to the album. The vocals are a bit different. That was another weak point for me in the album. The vocals was just the same kind of scream, and that was it. It wasn't a bad scream, but I just found like, okay, can I hear like a little bit of different stuff? And you know what, on a few of the songs I did, and that was one of them, and I liked that. It is a pretty straightforward song, but like I said, I do enjoy the fact that it is different.
Before we move off of Amoral, that was another song that I liked as well. But to me, it musically sounded almost like something the B-52s would do. I know a lot of you guys probably don't listen to the B-52s because they're probably ghetto in your head, but I like the B-52s. I'm a fan of that band. And when I was listening to this song, I was going, you know what? I can picture the B-52s doing this music and then having their singer sing lyrics on top of it. It had that kind of groove to it, that kind of almost a funky kind of groove. Not funk as in like the genre funk, but a funkiness to it.
I can see that, yeah. Like I can see where you're coming from. Like it had that to it, and you know that makes it unique on the album. Nothing else sounds like that.
Right.
Another song that sounds super duper unique is the last track, A Belly Full of Salt and Spleen, and that track started out kind of just like whatever vocals, but it picked up. It was slow paced. It was different. I like how the drums sounded different on this one. The drum, you know, they had their mix, which was a fine mix, but I felt like they mixed them a little bit different for this song. They sounded a lot deeper, maybe added a tiny bit of reverb in there maybe, to make them sound a little deeper than normal. But I liked that. I liked that it was such a subtle difference, but I kind of caught on to that and said, hey, like that was kind of a cool thing they did. It's a good closer, I would say.
Yeah, a little bit long. The way the song is laid out and the style of the song, it's a little bit long.
It drones on
to be that kind of song and have it like, it's only 4 minutes and 37 seconds.
Yeah, so it's not that long, but when you're listening to it, it kind of feels like when you're within the last minute, it's like, okay, is this over?
I think it's a song that would be great if you're on drugs. It's definitely a song you'd trip out to because it's just very, like you said, droning is a good word. It just will kind of get into your head and get into your body and give you these like the feels, you know. Not that I condone using drugs at all, but I've been there, done that. I know the effects. But you mentioned the drums on this song. I want to talk about drums for a minute because I felt the drum presence on this album to be very good overall, not just on that song. A few songs specifically, The Curse of Being in Thrall, Invigorating Clutch, and A Belly Full of Salt and Spleen. The drums on those songs stood out to me more, but I found the drum presence on this album as a whole to be very, very nice. Very clean, very nice mix of drums. It doesn't sound wishy-washy like a lot of really grindy music sounds, which this isn't that grindy for a band that's got, you know, grindcore elements to their sound. It's not that grindy, but I felt like the drums were very clean, very, very thick, powerful presence in the drums. Almost like there was extra care put into the mix as far as the drums go. And I like that. I thought that brought a definitely a good element to this album. And that aspect alone made this album tolerable for me. The fact that the drums were enjoyable throughout. Even though it was just a lot of, like we said, blast beats and D beats kind of mixed back and forth, there was other things sprinkled in here and there. It's just whenever you heard a blast beat, you're like, oh, there's a blast beat. And whenever you heard a D beat, you're like, oh, there's another D beat.
I mean, you know, it's not like I'm being nitpicky.
I'm not saying you. I'm just me as even as a listener myself. That's kind of like they kept coming up, but I felt like there was a variety there. It wasn't just all one or two things. There was a pretty good variety in the drums. Lots of tom work.
Yeah, if we're talking about the drums specifically, it did have sprinkles of here and there, but I'm talking like overall, a lot of the songs shared the same qualities. And it got to a point where I'm like, I feel like I'm just listening to the same song.
I would blame the vocals for that, to be honest. Which we might get flack for saying that because, well, Barney's a pretty, like, highly regarded vocalist.
Here's the thing,
scene goes.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not like
it's not bad.
It's just repetitive.
Yeah,
it's like the same thing over and over.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Even though on a few songs he does do something different.
Right, but when you're saying like we're agreeing with each other here. Basically, there's a lot of songs that kind of feel like the same vibe of the song, but it's not the drums that's doing it. It's not even the guitar riff. There's quite a variety of riffing in this album too.
Yeah,
and they're pretty good as well. But the vocals is just very, very standard throughout, except for a couple little things here and there. Which, I guess what we're trying to say is more vocal variation would have really, really helped this album out.
Yeah, the guitars, honestly, I feel like took a little bit more of a backseat than they should have, because there were a lot of really cool riffs and a lot of interesting melodic ideas in there.
Yeah.
But it feels like the mix was like really evenly dispersed throughout every instrument. Nothing really felt like it was overpowering something else. Everything was pretty even. Maybe that's why the guitars didn't seem like they were at the front, because they maybe were not.
Yeah, if anything, I'd say the drums were probably a little step ahead of everything else. That was just my personal opinion. But you know what? After listening to this album for the first time, I kind of had a thought and a realization as to why I probably never got into this band. Because like I said, I own a couple of their albums. I can't remember which ones. But I probably bought them, brought them home, listened to them, went, this is pretty good, but never listened to it again. Or once in a blue moon, put it on to check it out again and just never dove in. This kind of made me realize why. This is not the kind of music that I really love, but we're gonna listen to it for an entire week, and that might change. So that's what we do on this channel, and that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes we have these impressions that are not the greatest, and these albums grow on us, and we end up loving it by the end of the week.
It's happened so many times on our channel.
It can go the opposite way. We might have a decent impression now, and we might start hating this album by tomorrow, by the next day, and just next week just shit all over it.
And that's happened too.
So we're gonna see what happens. I think this is a very interesting one.
It is.
So I'm excited to see how the week goes, but that's what we're gonna do. Listen to it as many times as we possibly can, and we'll be back next week to give you guys our full and final review of Throes of Joy in the Jaws of Defeatism. That's it for this video. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Leave your comments down below and let us know what you guys think of this album. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
See you guys on the next one.